Nästa bolag på scenen blir miljöteknikbolaget Minesto och den här presentationen kommer hållas på engelska. Så med det sagt så I leave the stage over to you, please. A warm welcome to Martin Edlund.
Thank you very much. And it's almost like you have to apologize a little bit for speaking English when you have a Swedish crowd. But the interest in the Minesto share and Minesto as a company is growing internationally, so we take the opportunity to broadcast this in a global context. And I'm going to run through the status in the company and some new findings on the value of integrating our technology into the energy mix. I'll not spend so much time on the technology and what it is that we've developed. But what you see here on the initial screen is the innovation that we have materialized. We have commercial scale power plants grid connected in the Faroe Islands under power procurement agreements with a local customer, SEV, in the Faroe Islands. You see some nice sceneries from the Faroes, and you saw the underwater principles of flying a kite tethered to the seabed. But I'll try to leave that behind and talk a little bit about our exposure to start with. This is a film produced together with our supplier SKF. It's only a minute.
Increased demand for energy has led to a new space race. Global superpowers are competing to control lunar resources. One of the world's smallest nations will now join them.
10,
with one difference.
9,
this space program will never leave
5,
Earth.
4, 3, 2, 1.
We already have endless lunar power. It's called tidal energy. Our spacecraft won't go up, they'll go down, and they'll fly underwater.
I'll leave it there. You can see the full video and more material from this campaign that we run together with our strategic supplier SKF. This campaign and other exposure after the launch of the commercial scale device has been enormous globally. So we've had it on the traffic on our homepage and exposure of this material is beyond 500 million viewers by now, only for the second quarter. This means a lot to a tech company pushing a new technology in a new industry as the ocean energy tidal sector is. So we have more interest in Minesto than we've ever seen historically, and as some of you know I've been around for a while. And it's not only this campaign, it's serious good media channels all over, and good support to drive the commercial agenda forward. On top of that, I think it's fair to say that we've reached some kind of pivoting point or a breakthrough situation for tidal as a generic contribution to the global energy transition. We see now for the first time that there are serious large-scale tenders from national utilities in Indonesia and from the Canadian Atlantic coast area where we can compete for deployment at relevant commercial scale. And on top of that, of course, this is driven by the global need for more and more electricity. You've seen those numbers in different contexts around. It's also so that we are now entering the scenario planning and the predictions of the future global energy mix in a way we haven't seen before. I also think I'm the first representative of tidal energy invited to an exclusive forum by EIA in Toronto to represent ocean energy and tidal, the Innovation Forum for the International Energy Agency. We see a lot of support structures from EU to push larger scale build out. And this is what Minesto now is positioned to go after. Not the least with the sales setup, the way we work with sales in this sector. It's quite a challenge to build a new industry and to push a new technology in a sector that is sort of has to be built from bottom up where we are. And I think that we've built the toolbox in everything from how we approach sort of the local context to get the local actors to be with us on this, into what you see as site and resource mapping here, where it's about really being able to verify how large a local market is, to adopt our systems, not only the configuration of the kite, but the array design to motivate the value of the yield of a yearly production. Of course, to engage in feasibility studies. We've been through 4 feasibility studies with customers that have paid for those studies now for the last 2 years. So we believe that we can take on those challenges at scale now in a good way. We've also added what you see to the right here, what we call value analysis of tidal in the energy mix. I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek into what we're doing here. It's basically about putting an economic value on tidal as a component in the energy mix when you're pushing towards renewable and complete renewable energy systems. And of course, we're working with EY and other partners to build solid state-of-the-art investment cases for those parks or dragon farms, as we call them. And in the end of the day, it's in the energy sector, it's all about the cost of energy. Our customers will sell the electricity to the users of the electricity. And we can talk about a lot of other aspects. It's renewable, carbon footprints, and so forth. But to get this to really be pushed through, in the end of the day, the only thing that counts, well, almost the only thing, is the price level. The cost of the electricity that you then can sell further on in the value chain. We are by far the most competitive ocean energy solution there is out there. To the graph on the right hand, on the left for you, you see benchmark from the other handful of actors in this sector, where we start deploying systems at the cost level where they are aiming for as an end game. If you transfer this into a comparison with more established renewables and a broader renewable run through, you see on the right here that we are on the right level already where we start. But we also believe, and what we've added to our, let's say, work with sales and pushing this forward, we've also added work on understanding the benefits on the higher system level. In the end of the day, it's the cost for the total electricity production in an energy system that really matters. And this is a part of the debate in most countries now, where we see a lot of penetration of wind, not least in Sweden, where there is now a lot of political discussions and a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions around how to do this. We have put ourselves aside of the emotions and the political side and work with data. So we built in-house tidal modules integrated in what's called Python for power systems analysis tools, where we do linear optimization of a build-out hour by hour on integrating the base load characteristics of tidal at real sites, at real costs, at the real investment cases. And then we run optimization to see, is tidal viable or not for this energy system? What you see here are our first results from a run-through based on real data and a real energy system. And it's a renewable, the best renewable system without tidal and the tidal scenario with Minesto's technology. If you put another tidal technology into this, there will be no difference, basically. It's too expensive and you can't build it at scale because it's not sort of competitive enough. This is a huge argument why to invest in Minesto's tidal solutions already at the initial cost levels where we are. Storage costs, overcapacity in other renewables, curtailment is avoided at a scale where we save an enormous amount of money every year, and you see the gap increase over time. The last year here, you see a slight increase, and you might wonder what that is. That is going from 97 to 100% renewable, which adds a little bit of challenges also for tidal in increasing a little bit of storage. But this is a huge argument, and it's an integral part in our sales work, and we will do more in this area as we move on. We also, now when we work on the commercial side, we offer our feasibilities. We've been through a handful of them, as I say, paid by customers. Not at the full payment level for all of them, but for at least 3 of them during the last 1.5 years. And we're moving into demo projects, and we're planning the first arrays. And you can see that it's significant sales value in just a single project from what we're doing. And I mean, this is the energy sector, so it's still really small projects until you reach the yellow upper level of this, the core business of major build-outs. And of course, we're talking about a market for this technology that is beyond nuclear on Earth today. So that's what we have ahead of us. And motivating that market is the core here. It's a key aspect. So we're also working hands-on with our own solutions and simulation tools to really develop sites. And this is an area where we are probably the only commercial actor that really, with the technology that's doing this. Because our technology has always been outside of pre-consented test centers built in Canada, in Europe, and elsewhere. We've been doing it from scratch because we go for lower flows, we go for higher water depths. So we've had to do this on our own from scratch. And that's a huge advantage now in the phase where we are tendering, we're involved in tendering processes and when we're building investment cases. They cannot be built at the test centers. They have to be built where the resource is at its best. And of course, we keep going in the Faroes. This is the only area where we use our own investments to build and prepare a site and where we do the testing. So we have 3 test platforms, 3 foundations in Vestmanna. One for the large megawatt machine that you cannot see now because it's installed and grid connected at the moment, and where we have 2 smaller units also. We're actually bringing one of the smaller units home in October now for a public display in Gothenburg. It's the 8th of October, and you're all welcome to join us if you want to meet a real dragon in person. They're not hostile, and they are sustainable, so it's no fire around them if you're scared of that. Also, we are full speed ahead with investments supported by the Swedish Energy Agency in a small consortia with Capture Energy and the local utility SEV and IVL. What we're doing here is that we're completing the microgrid offer, adding microgrid system management capabilities and storage capabilities so we can build turnkey, standalone, tidal-driven renewable microgrids. Already at this stage where we're doing this in Vestmanna, we have a first customer application that we will integrate into this and test some new business models of swapping out oil for renewable tidal electricity. This is, in a way, something we do in parallel with the large investment cases and the broad build-out. But we see that there's a significant market with thousands of islands globally where this is of interest. We also see that in some areas we can talk about microgrid installations up to maybe 40, 50 megawatts. So this also scales into multiple large units. And it is a perfect setup for local reference installations, first-of-a-kind installations into new markets, which is highly valuable as well to speed up consenting processes and local adoption of the technology. And of course, to make money. The large build-out is of course the arrays, the dragon farms. We founded a company in the Faroes called Drechin, the Dragon, where we're putting the market rights, we're putting all the intangible assets related to the site in order to attract local investors, to attract grant-based funding, and also international investors that might have a larger interest elsewhere but want to be involved early on. As a part of this work, of course, we're also working with the whole toolbox of EU-based support funding into this, where we have a larger portfolio of applications out now than what we've actually ever had to support this. So this is looking really, really interesting for us as we move into fourth quarter and the winter ahead of us. It's also forced us into thinking about scale up. So we're working in a local environment together with local partners in Sweden to really secure that we can deliver multiple units in batch manufacturing. The wing is a driver in manufacturing, and the logistics demands that we are close to the key side. So what we do is to look into flexible batch manufacturing of this, look into integrating all the types of onshore testing needed to go from the key side at manufacturing all the way to the actual end game, the installation at site in one continuous process. And several of our current suppliers, SKF, wing suppliers with Elite Composite, are involved in this work to prepare for the scale-up. And we keep going with exposure and with hooking up what we're doing with international contexts. We were invited to the World Expo in Osaka by the Prime Minister of the Faroe Islands to represent Faroe Islands as the main tech contribution in their day at the World Expo. We have at site, I think you can see that, it's actually now the Swedish EU Commissioner visiting our site and looking into our build-out plans in the Faroes here. And I've left the Faroese and the Japanese thank you note on top here, just to remember to tell you this. And I think with that, I've used the time that I should to present, and it would be nice to get a few questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. We have a couple of minutes for questions as well. I think that you were here about a year and a half ago, and at that time we talked a little bit about the market maturity. Yep. And as it's still quite early beginning, what do you say? What has happened during the last year? Do you see that the market is moving ahead?
I think that the announced procurement processes from a state-owned utility in Indonesia and driven from the Canadian government, I think those are really, really important signs that there is now a need to start deploying new solutions. I think that the hard lessons learned from established renewables has put tidal energy in a situation where it's no longer just the sector that has to push this as an opportunity. EIE, you can quote them en masse saying that without new innovation and new solutions, we will fail with a global renewable energy transition. And that is of great help when you're pushing something new and something where your potential customers and stakeholders are not, let's say, that familiar with either the resource or your technology. So huge, huge difference.
Yeah. Do you think that this might, speed up the process in you to start getting larger orders and so on?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And you showed us a couple of graphs earlier showing some promising data and that you get a lot of attention in the media. What do you think? What is currently holding? What do you need to do in order to convert this into sales and orders?
I think that we are doing the right thing by building content, knowledge-based sales processes that we understand sort of the broad reach needed. We need to motivate that the resource has this value, that we understand that the value is built on a higher system level to understand what the base load component means, and we can put an economic value to it, and that we keep pushing, sort of associating our small tech-based company with our strong suppliers and also the Swedish context. I mean, we're invited again and again to be part of, just this last year, to represent Sweden in high-level industry delegations, with the Prime Minister in Japan this winter, to the World Expo in Osaka with the King, next month with the Crown Princess to Korea. And that's not just to eat, you know, fancy small sandwiches and drink expensive champagne. For us, it's really about building relationships with stakeholders and customers and investors on the right level. Because we have to accept and acknowledge that there are not so many actors in the world that have sort of a detailed strategy to invest and build Tidal. So you need to influence from the top in order to get those opportunities to be grasped from the stronger actors that we're working to onboard with what we're doing.
And currently we've seen the political landscape being quite shaky over the last year. And also we have quite a weak cycle in the economy. What do you currently see? What is holding the market back, do you think?
Well, we don't have a market in Sweden, so, so the situation in Sweden is, I mean, yes, from a capital access perspective, we're influenced by that.
I mean, globally we have...
But globally, I mean, it varies. Some areas it's better and worse. I think that some of the slow development on ocean, on established ocean renewables, the wind sector and so forth, short term, that might be a little bit of a holdback for us. But what we really see is that when profit levels in wind and for those big project developers is dropping, you're realizing that when you reach a certain level of penetration of wind, that you need complementary solutions. So it's maybe short term, there are some setbacks and longer sales processes, but long term, it's really the kind of hands-on hard evidence that's needed to really push them into broadening their portfolios.
Yeah, fair enough. I think we have time for one last question. Look, going ahead here, what do you think investors should be looking into?
Well, I think we've sort of lined up triggers on the commercial side, on the soft funding side. We're moving ahead with the technology side, strategic partnerships. So I think that there is sort of several areas where we're building industrial value and where the value of Minesto should be significantly influenced, because in either of those areas that will take Minesto into the next level.
Great. Thank you so much, Martin Edlund, VD for Minesto.
Thank you. Thank you.